When Republican Sen. Tim Scott of South Carolina launched his campaign for the White House last week, the notoriously prickly former President Donald Trump welcomed his new competitor with open arms. There were no accusations of disloyalty or nasty nicknames from the GOP frontrunner like the barrage he unleashed when Florida Gov. Ron DeSantis, considered his leading rival, joined the race 2 days later with a bungled Twitter announcement. "Good luck to Senator Tim Scott in entering the Republican presidential primary race," Trump said. "It is rapidly loading up with lots of people, and Tim is a big step up from Ron DeSanctimonious, who is totally unelectable." The contrast underscores not only the fact that Trump sees DeSantis as his most formidable rival, but also basic math. He and his team have long believed the more candidates who enter the Republican primary contest, the better for Trump. They are operating under the assumption that no other candidate will be able to consolidate enough of the anti-Trump vote to take him down. Other candidates who enter the race, they argue, are competing for DeSantis' share of the vote. And the field is growing by the day. In the coming weeks, at least 4 additional candidates are expected to launch their own campaigns, joining a field that already includes DeSantis, Scott, former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley, former Arkansas Gov. Asa Hutchinson, tech billionaire Vivek Ramaswamy, and several longer shots like conservative talk radio host Larry Elder. Former New Jersey Gov. Chris Christie's entry into the race is imminent, according to a person familiar with his thinking who spoke on condition of anonymity to discuss his plans. Former Vice President Mike Pence is expected to launch his campaign next month, and North Dakota Gov. Doug Burgum is eyeing June 7 as a launch date. Miami Mayor Francis Suarez told the Associated Press last week that he's strongly considering running as his New Hampshire Gov. Chris Sununu. Even former Texas Gov. Rick Perry, who has run for president twice already, recently said on CNN that he hadn't taken a third campaign off the table. And Axios reported that Virginia Gov. Glenn Youngkin, who had previously said his focus is on state elections, is reconsidering his plans after earlier dismissing speculation. "This is an indictment of DeSantis' disastrous announcement and his dismal poll numbers," said Trump spokesperson Stephen Chung of the coming announcements. "DeSantis' blood is in the water and every candidate sees how feeble and weak he is." Indeed, several of the declared and would-be candidates have been escalating their attacks against DeSantis as they compete for second place. Republicans once warned about a repeat of 2016, when the sprawling GOP field failed to coalesce around a Trump alternative, giving him the nomination. But much of the urgency that once existed among Trump's GOP rivals to limit the field has faded in recent months. "The important point is not how many candidates start the race, it's how many stay in after they no longer have a chance of getting the nomination," said Whit Ayers, a veteran Republican pollster and strategist. "We learned that from the Democratic nomination in 2020. There were many candidates who started the race. But once it became clear that Joe Biden was going to win the nomination, within hours the rest of them all dropped out and endorsed him. It's still far too early," Ayers said, "to know who the strongest non-Trump candidate will be. The idea that you're going to decide before the race even starts which one to rally behind is very premature," he said. For more, subscribe to 24 Hour Radio News.